A bill just passed that requires new cars to beep when you're speeding. The bill requires that passive speed limiters be installed in all new cars manufactured or sold in California, which means the whole country, by 2032. And car makers are not going to make a car for just one state, which means speed limiters are going to happen in all states. This is the crazy part. The bill before the California lawmakers had just passed the House and will be passing the Senate very soon would require new cars sold in the state in coming years to beep a warning whenever drivers exceed the speed limit by at least 10 miles an hour. Now, California could eventually join the European Union in requiring all new cars to alert drivers when they break speed limit laws, a proposal aimed at reducing traffic deaths that would likely impact motorists across the country should it become a law. This sounds like the kill switch bill, just sort of tying it into something that frustrates people, like, we don't want you to drink and drive, so we're going to put a kill switch bill in. And yeah, that's already passed and fully funded and going into effect by 2026. This is crazy. It is literally absurd. The California Senate Bill 961 was passed by a 22-13 vote this week, requiring that 50% of new vehicles manufactured or sold in California must have a passive speed limiter installed by 2029. But by 2032, the time when all the gas-powered vehicles are gone and they're all electric, that percentage has to increase to 100% of vehicles sold. Now, don't think this is just impacting California. No car maker is going to make it for just one state. And one car for the whole country is the only way they're going to do this. That means every single state will eventually comply. And we know that if California makes the rule, immediately 17 other states following, including New York, the state I live in, which does not make me happy, and New Jersey, as well as many other states. Politicians are calling this, in quotes, passive speed limiter, because it sounds nice and warm and fuzzy. But it's a system that warns drivers with audible and visual signals when their speed limit exceeds the posted speed limit by more than 10 miles per hour. Now, SB 961 applies to all trucks, buses, passenger vehicles manufactured or sold in the state, which means every state, and emergency vehicles that are exempt from this passive speed limiter requirement. They're going to sound like the same thing with lights flashing and horns blowing. So literally every vehicle will be beeping their horn and flashing their lights. How can you separate a police officer from an emergency vehicle from someone that's speeding? Well, I'm sure that some of you are already thinking, this might be a good way to get through traffic. By having my lights flashing and my horn beeping, people will move out of the way. Well, the reality is that if every vehicle is speeding and moving along with traffic, which is typically happens on highways, no one's going to move over and out of your way. So it sounds great in reality, but it sounds like a disaster waiting to happen and another dumb government regulation. SB 961 builds on similar requirements that go into effect into the European Union beginning in July, and it implements that the National Traffic Safety Board recommends to require speed limiters in all new vehicles. And I've covered this before, and I have warned you, and because no one did anything about it, no one spoke up, they assumed you wanted it. And the bill is supported by the National Transportation Safety Board, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American Automobile Association, known as AAA to you and I. It's passed the Senate by 22-13 and heads to the Assembly, where it will pass by August 31st. And we already know it's California, so they're going to pass it. California, like the nation as a whole, is seeing a horrifying spike in traffic deaths, with thousands of drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians dying each year on our roads, said Senator Scott Wiener, who put forth the bill. Now, according to the California Office of Traffic Safety, or OTS, the 2023 Traffic Safety Report, 1/3 of all traffic fatalities in the state between 2017 and 2021 were speed-related. Here's a better solution. Teach people to drive better, have better driving skills, and not teach them just to pass the test. This is what they do in other countries. Now, let's create a more comprehensive driving program. Teach people to pay attention to the road, put their phone down, use sort of the systems that's used in professional driving schools. Professional truck drivers have to take additional tests and additional education, which we obviously can tell by the roadways that people aren't even following the rules that are in place. Now, this bill must now pass the Assembly on August 31st. That is your last chance to speak out. And yeah, it's every state, not just California. And if it's passed and becomes the law, it'll make California the first state in the nation with a passive speed limiter requirement. However, This will not be the first government in the world to do this. Similar systems are required already in certain countries in the EU, and that goes into place in July, like I just said. But even here in the US, both the National Transportation Safety Board and the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety have recommended a federal passive speed limiter requirement, and they want that implemented as soon as possible. Or in other words, more nannies and more controls on literally everything you drive. I've been covering this on other reports, and I want you to be aware that if you don't say anything, more of these passive speed limiters will go in place. A passive speed limiter is also referred to as a passive intelligent speed assistance system. You need to know their language so you can talk to them in the language that makes sense, so it matches what's in SB 961. That system is described as an integrated vehicle system that uses, at a minimum, the GPS location of the vehicle compared with the database of posted speed limits to determine the speed of the limit, and utilizes a brief one-time visual and audio signal to alert the driver each time they exceed the speed limit for more than 10 miles an hour. Now, if the system has been conflicting speed limits or different information, it'll choose the higher of the two speed limits. Hopefully, the system will be sophisticated enough to determine when a vehicle is at Laguna Seca on the track or Watkins Glen, or at a high-performance driving school, or even at your local drag track. Now, SB 961 is not a law yet, but we would not bet against it. All cars will have these annoying noises when you accelerate. How long will it take for people to rip the system out or create a company to create a bypass? Or maybe you just don't buy a new car. When sales drop off, car manufacturers will push back. Let's let the free market decide. Now, California often throws its weight around and influence on a national and international policy. And California has its own emission standards for cars for decades, and rules that are more than a dozen other states have already adopted. And when California announced it would eventually ban the sale of new gas-powered cars, what happened? Major automakers soon followed with their own announcement to phase out fossil fuel cars. Now they're backtracking because your dollars make a difference. You aren't buying electric vehicles, you're looking at hybrids and gasoline-powered vehicles. Well, guess what? Now manufacturers are hearing you, and they don't care what California says. Either that or they'll be out of business. Now, your thoughts are important. Put them down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to get involved in the conversation. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, or just stay a little bit longer and find another way to save some money on your cell phone plan. Links for our website, social media, and the book and the podcast are all down in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching. Have you ever thought, why in the world is my wireless bill so darn high? What are we paying all this money for? Speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, unlimited talk and text, mobile hotspots? We are partnering with Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers all of these features for as low as $15 per month. They're reimagining the wireless shopping experience and made it easy and online. No stores, no salespeople, just huge direct-to-use savings. Why should you pay more when you have access to premium wireless? Mint Mobile runs on the nation's largest 5G network. Whether you use your phone to watch YouTube, listen to podcasts, or play games, you get the same speed and performance as the big guys while connecting to Mint's network. How hard is it to switch your service? Big Wireless wants you to think it's hard, but switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones now have, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. And if your phone doesn't have an eSIM, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free. Just go to trymintmobile.com/LaurenFix, also linked in the description down below, to get premium wireless for $15 a month.